manipulative stuff. All right, this is Infinite Go, Heroes, Chun-Man, Sit, and Recon. Now, when I spoke on myth before, I was still staying pretty positive. I still think of the heroes, but it's almost always tragic. As we start to evolve, so our heroes don't have to be tragic now as we evolve and as we mature. So there's starting to be a shift, and there's a shift like this in my life. Recon, and that was my samurai code. Back to the samurai. I'll pull up here in a moment when I show a picture of Wolverine. He's got a samurai sword. When I mentioned to you about Yukio Mishima, this filmmaker, River of Body, he created a coup to overthrow the Japanese government because the Japanese government became the lapdogs of the United States as we became mechanized, and they made goods for us. He says, no, I will not go down that way, neither will my glorious country, neither will my glorious ethos. So he staged a coup, and he took on the army, ultimately by himself in samurai armor, was shot to death with his sword out. You must look into Yukio Mishima. You guys will be moved. River of Body. All right, here we go. Who's this guy? Yeah! Crushed the 4-minute mile. Defeated it. He saw the hordes of Persia and did his duty. And those hordes of Persia, in this case, was the damn clock. But it was just as deadly because it had knocked out every other man and woman that's tried to break this record until him. After he defeated that horde, that Persian horde, this is now the standard for excellence in this field. Right? So when we think about mythology and then moving into heroes, what he did is he took every bit of training and skill and mentorship from around him. He constantly was in a state of self-effacement because disillusionment with self precedes enlightenment. You'll hear me say that over and over again. I learned it from Roger Sparks. He was my mentor in Recon, and now he is the highest decorated pararescueman of all time. And we need to find a way to get him here, and we're at Summer Strong next year and the years ahead. One of the most profound men, also one of the most gentle men, and also one of the most deadly. He taught me so much. He modeled so much for me. These archetypes, they're accessible to all of us. And I bet if we just slow down enough and look around in our lives, we have them in our life already. All right? Heroes. Who's my man? Mother frappin' Wolverine. All right. Since I was a little kid, I've been reading comic books. And I like to draw comic books. And what a great way when you see little children imitating things that inspire them. Support it with all you got. Support it. Because they are creating their own myths and creating their own pantheons of gods that support virtue, strength. Things that we know ratify and support the bests of human society. All right? And that's my man. And if you ever read the Frank Miller story arc that he did in 1982, Wolverine, the freaking pit fighter, the X-Man, the rebel, the badass, he loved to drink beer and didn't give an F. He went to Japan, and no matter how badass he was, and he's got a healing factor, you can't kill him, he's a badass fighter, he's got freaking swords that stick out of his hands, he still got his ass kicked. He got his ass kicked by a man with a freaking wooden sword. Whooped his ass, whooped his ego, whooped his pride. But he didn't stay down. Instead, he used that as information, took nothing negative from it, and he cultivated his skill, his character, and through that reclaimed his honor. All right? Wolverine. Nah, this is Chun-Man Sit. This is my Chinese Kung Fu teacher. He's 65. I made him look small, so he always I was his biggest fighter. So he always called me the big guy, me. And for a Mexican-American, I was like, well, I'm a little tall. But, I'm not real big. he was so revolutionary and influential in my approach to sport, to training, most importantly, to training. And I don't mean techniques. I mean a framework in which mentally, emotionally, and physically I can get involved in process, not the product. And all you super strong dudes and women that are into the weightlifting, a little too crazy in my opinion, because the number of reps and poundages become the dictating force of what you consider a success. And what happens? You know what happens. All y'all are hurt. Every dang one of you. And it's because we fall out of process and we get lured and enticed by the sirens of product. Is it the medal? Is it the championship? Is it the accolade? Is it the band-aid of poor self-esteem? But all that stuff goes away. We truly become the Godhead when we stay in process. And that's what SIT taught me. And that's probably why I'm here to this day. There's a lot of great war fighters out there. There really is a lot of them. Way better than me. But because of the background that Chun-Man SIT taught me, I had an ability to, from the chrysalis and from the ashes, become a butterfly again after my wars were over and my youth was gone. He taught me so much. He did not coach me. He gave me assignments. It took me 2 years to be his indoor student. And I'd already been doing Shaolin Kung Fu and was a wrestler and a boxer since I was a little kid. I grew up in the Omaha Home for Boys, so I've been fighting since I was very small. What did you say, brother, about coaching? Or I think it was text. Coaching or you can coach somebody, but what's best is when you lead them. And sometimes that means that you just take a few steps ahead or maybe run a few clicks away and see how they look as they're approaching and following you. You can't rush it. So he rarely corrected me, I'd say until 2 years into training. And mostly he had me do a lot of boring shit. Right? And so we were doing it today, getting back to the basics, right? Opening hips, standing on one foot. Man, I'm telling you, that's the gold. Once I achieved a baseline of spatial awareness, physical awareness, vitality, so I was a vegetarian. I was a tall, long fighter at 155, so I fought at 155. I was long. Then the technique was layered upon. Then the higher level conceptual strategies were layered upon. God, it's immense. He never said, and back to you, Tex, he never said, that's good. Actually, he told me behind my back after 5 years of training and like 20 gold medals, I became a world champion in Sanshao, fencing, Shui Jiao wrestling. And then, of course, because I wanted to be legit, I practiced sword and did all of the empty hand sets too. You know, I didn't want to be that one-trick pony. I heard behind my back, Ludi's staff work got jing, good. And I was like, wow. He would always say, not too bad. He never said good. So pretty soon you stopped looking for any kind of compliment or any kind of correction because and then a trust happened too. Because if you were going the wrong way, he would guide you back. You had to trust the process. Process. And I know it's very Eastern in our world, right? Because we need immediate results in sport and in war, immediate results. It was amazing. When I won the Jingwu competition, I guess that was 95. And I had already been knocked unconscious in the early morning as the demonstrator, because I was the demonstrator. I wanted to learn so much. I practiced with everybody I could. And there was a Shaolin monk there, known as the Iron Leg of China. I shit you not. And they bring out the big guy for him to show his freaking, his Sanchow and his shui jiao. And small man, maybe about 110 pounds. Bones and skin and muscle made of living steel. Well, we were on a floor like this, and he had me punch at him, or shoot on him, or punch at him, and he dropped levels, and he reached so deep behind my legs, and he snapped them in, and the back of my head hit the deck. Boom, I bounced out. I was unconscious. I started like kind of giggling, going, ha, ha, and then I had to compete in my first event like, I don't know, 20 minutes later. I'm sure you guys have had similar situations. Right? So after I win this competition, and by the way, I'm a white guy, or Latin American, United States. I was mostly competing against Chinese and Japanese and some Thais and some Europeans. People in a lot of ways that were much more professionally adept. My Kung Fu teacher, until we started winning together, was a short order cook at a grocery store in Lee Summit, Kansas. All right? So and then I had to spar and fight as the last thing, because that's what draws everybody out. They don't show the fighting early in the competition because everybody will leave after the fights. So the fights are at the very end. I've competed all freaking day, concussed too. Gold medal, gold medal, gold medal. I mean, it was just raining on me, right? Right? There's no middleweight, so I have to fight the heavyweights. And they're big, man. And size and weight matters, as you strength athletes, explosive athletes, football athletes know. I won. I fought 3 times. And I was very tired on my last fight. My little brother Michael was helping in my corner. I'm like, doggy, I'm so tired, dog. What should I do? Just kick his fucking ass. That's what he said. So I win. They bring out a trophy. I got a medal. I can't believe this freaking glory. And some people are picking me up. Some Chinese people are mad at me. And so I go over there and I said, "This is it, Sifu. I won. I'm the best, Sifu." And he goes, "Oh, Ludi, you won." "Yes, but Ludi, you won because the best guy didn't show up." Damn. Right? The best guy didn't show up. There's always the best guy out there. Right? Some of you all have been the best guy, and right as you were about to express yourself as the best guy, you hurt yourself. Now you're not the best guy. You see what I mean? It's very amorphous. So again, if you're stuck into the process, that is how you transcend it all. So he gave me a couple of little tidbits. Well, he gave them to me all the time. First, about speed and explosion, and all of us are in a speed and explosion. He said, "Ludi, when you shoot a gun, the speed, the power, the bullet, it kills you." I said, yes, Sifu, it does. But not if your bullet is made of donut. So your bullets, but with donuts, they do not kill you. They have to be made of metal. Structural integrity. Think about our base nature for all of our sport work, athlete work. If the structure is not there, if the tensity or the integrity of the tissue, which takes time, the tendon strength, the bone strength, especially the combat guys that do a lot of striking, you can't supersede that. All right? Don't shoot your gun with donut bullets. All right? Full metal jacket. All right? The next thing he says, he says a lot of great things. So when I talk about infinite go, he says, "Ludi, why you fake?" Like, maybe I observed a couple fighters. As we're all of us kids, especially us boys, we imitate our favorite fighters. And some cats may throw a fake or a posh or whatever. "Ludi, if you have energy to fake, why not hit him?" No fake. Teaches the brain wrong. So Ludi, your body is a Ferrari. My body is Volkswagen. I beat you every time. Ludi, you only know how to go to second gear, parking brake on. 4-cylinder Volkswagen, I know how to go to all gear. I beat you every time. So again, back to athletics. right? Take your foot off the damn parking brake. Develop the engine. Learn to run through the gears. Ingrid, if she's here with her Olympic lifting, her skills, you're seeing poetry in motion. She rips through the gears. She knows how to work clutch. Another freaking gem from Chun-Man Sit. His input into me was profound. It still is. The last little thing, oh man, that's so special. So remember the people that you impact, and remember the people that impact you. Sit says, Rudy, very, very interesting. 5 years, no one knows my name, but now you win all the time, and they say, that's Rudy's teacher. So now Chun-Man Sit is in all of the Kung Fu magazines. He is published now in very high-end martial arts journals. He has a thriving business now. He no longer has to cook at a grocery store. And anyway, really, really wonderful. And the same exotic esoterics that you're feeling, that I'm expressing here, are the things I feel that I'm learning from you all now. So it really is universal. All right? Now, recon. Next little video. It's only a second. You guys know this one. Right? That's it, man. Suffering, suffering. Run fast, fast, fast. Have all your kit on with your weapon systems and your gas mask. And it becomes a suffering game. Who can suffer more? And how do we suffer? We become professionals at compartmentalizing pain, which everybody in this room understands. The problem is it's a young person's game. I only lasted, and I was lucky, I lasted like this till 38. I'm 46 now. And then things started changing. Especially things were changing in my mind. The nervous system breakdowns, the emotional, spiritual breakdowns, because this way of life is not sustainable. This is helping the chaos and destruction of the universe. It's not fighting it. And if you're not fighting the hate, the rage, the pain, even though in fighting it you will feel those things, you don't get to develop. So that's recon. I learned, of course, the most austere discipline, and in the gravest of circumstances. And now I look back as amazing tools, but I lived in it too long, and it corrupted my mind and my soul. Not fighting for my country, that didn't corrupt me. Not being an excellent competitive athlete, I became a swimmer. I swam from Alcatraz. I became quite an accomplished triathlete as well. That didn't corrupt me. What corrupted me was the product now, not the process. Part of my product was absolute aggression, suffering, and dominance. Because of all my experiences in war, being dominant was in the forefront of my identity. There is a time and a place for it, absolutely. And that's how you win in the match? Yes. But that's not your whole life.